Hey, it's Dan Zimmerman. Welcome to Illustrate to Educate. Don't forget to subscribe for simple, objective videos on topics that matter. In this video about the Ukraine and Russia war, I'll give you a quick update on some of the most important details you should know so you can be better informed. How did the war begin? Russia launched an invasion of Ukraine at 4 a.m. Ukrainian time on Thursday, February 24th, sending troops into Ukraine from three sides. Troops and armor crossed into eastern Ukraine from the Russian border, as well as from Belarus in the north, and from Russia-annexed Crimea to the south. The operation was announced by Putin around 4:50 a.m. that he decided to conduct a special military operation to, as he puts it, protect the people who have been subjected to abuse and genocide by the Kiev regime for 8 years. He later went on to warn, "Whoever tries to interfere with us, and even more so, to create threats for our country, for our people, should know that Russia's response will be immediate and will lead you to such consequences that you have never experienced in your history." Around 5 o'clock a.m. Ukrainian time, Russian forces launched a series of missile attacks against locations near Kiev and long-range artillery against Kharkiv. The strikes quickly spread to cities of Odessa, Dnipro, Mariupol, and Kramatorsk. Most of the targets were military bases and airports, but there were reported damage in and around several cities. Ukrainian President Zelensky gave a speech saying he had spoken to U.S. President Joe Biden and that the U.S. was rallying international support for Ukraine, as well as announcing martial law across the country. Martial law is a bit ambiguous, but typically when martial law is invoked, military officials, not civilian leaders, make and apply the law. This means that Ukrainian soldiers, not police, are responsible for enforcing laws. There has been a lot of activity around the Ukrainian capital of Kiev. After about 7 a.m. on the 24th, air raid sirens went off in Kiev and the western city of Lviv. There were reports of streams of vehicles leaving Kiev, while other Ukrainians sought shelter in subway stations. Zelensky later called on men 18 to 60 who were able to join the military, including veterans. Russian mechanized forces that had entered Ukraine through Belarus were about 20 miles from Kiev. It is believed that the goal is to encircle the city and potentially topple the Ukrainian government. Also note that the Ukrainian casualties as of the 25th are around 137 Ukrainian soldiers and 316 wounded. Russian military casualties have been reported to be somewhere between 800 to 1,000, but this has not yet been confirmed. Overall, U.S. intelligence officials are concerned that Kiev could fall under Russian control within days. Several countries around the globe have continued to increase the severity of sanctions on Russia's financial system and economy, and now also Belarus for their cooperation with the invasion. Countries such as the United States, UK, and the EU have all announced additional sanctions, some directly aimed at Putin and those within his circle, including the Prime Minister of Russia, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Other countries such as Australia, the Republic of China or Taiwan, New Zealand, Japan, and Canada have announced sanctions within the last few days. Ukraine has also received its first direct military assistance from Poland and France. All that we know is that Poland shipped a convoy of ammunition, while France has said that it will provide Ukraine with additional budgetary assistance of 300 million euros and will provide the defensive material they need. For the first time ever, the NATO response force, made of 40,000 troops consisting of land, air, sea, and special ops forces, has been activated as a defense measure in response to Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine. The activation of the response troops does not mean that any US or NATO troops will go into Ukraine, which is not a member of the alliance. US President Joe Biden has been clear that US troops are deploying to Eastern Europe to help bolster NATO countries nervous about Russia's aggressive actions, and they will not be fighting in Ukraine. Will there be talks between Ukraine and Russia? Russia has said it is ready to send a delegation to Minsk, the capital of Belarus, for talks about Ukraine's what they call neutral status, which Ukraine is considering. Neutral status, according to Russia, includes the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine. Zelensky has not directly proposed neutral status, but has signaled a willingness to discuss it, while insisting his country be provided security guarantees. U.S. Department of State Ned Price discourages this attempt at diplomacy while the capital of Kiev is under attack. He says it removes agency that Kiev should otherwise have, and is not the context in which diplomacy can succeed. Did you find this update on the Ukraine-Russia war to be helpful? If so, please like, share, and subscribe to Illustrate to Educate for more simple and objective videos on topics that matter. If you haven't seen the first two videos on this conflict, please check them out to the right.